Hi there, I'm Derek from the library Makerspace. In recent years, 3D printing technologies have risen to prominence, and our library patrons have used our 3D printers to make a variety of goods. But 3D printing is still an emerging technology, with plenty of pitfalls and problems that can come up. The technology isn't foolproof, and not every 3D print works out exactly like we want it to. That's why today we're going to look at some of the common hurdles and issues that can pop up and how to address them. In 3D printing, a motor pulls in plastic filament and pushes it through a heated nozzle to extrude the melted material that your object is made of. But if that plastic is not extruding from the nozzle correctly, it can compromise the entire print. If plastic isn't extruding from the printer's nozzle, it could mean a few things. One possible cause is that the nozzle is too close to the build plate or the print surface. Many 3D printers require that you balance or level the build plate manually, meaning that the surface the plastic is extruded onto has to be the same distance from the extruder nozzle at all points. But if the plate is too close, this could prohibit the plastic from extruding. Going into the printer settings, you can adjust what's called the Z-axis offset to increase the space between the nozzle and the build plate. Additionally, there's often an option to lower the build plate manually as well. A jammed extruder could be another reason the filament isn't coming out correctly. Sometimes heat can seep into the thermal barrier tube, causing the filament to expand and clog the extruder and hot end nozzle. Sometimes this can occur when changing between different types of filament that melt at different temperatures. Whatever the cause, here are some ways to clear the extruder. If you're lucky, then clearing the obstruction may be a fairly simple process. Start by ejecting the filament from the extruder. Then use the printer's control panel to heat up the nozzle. For PLA, you would heat it up to about 220 degrees. Then you can use a small pin or needle to try and clear the blockage from the nozzle. Alternatively, you can sometimes push the jammed filament through the hot end with another piece of filament. In the event that neither method works, clearing the blockage may require disassembling the extruder and/or replacing the nozzle altogether. Another common issue that can lead to the failure of a print is when the object being printed doesn't stay stuck to the build plate. If the object comes loose during printing, it can lead to a failed print and potentially a big mess. If you find that your object is coming unstuck from the build plate during printing, it could be for a couple reasons. Once again, as mentioned before, the distance between the build plate and the extruder nozzle may not be correct. Try leveling or calibrating the print bed to make sure your extruder is close enough to the print surface to let the extruded plastic adhere uniformly. If the build plate is dirty or has dust or plastic debris on it, this could also create issues. Make sure to clean off your build plate and ensure it's free of any debris or particles. It's also possible that the build plate is warped. Try using a ruler to see that the build surface is uniformly flat. When it comes to getting successful 3D prints, the first few layers are very important. Each layer in a 3D print has to bond with the layer before it to successfully create your shape. If those first few layers aren't perfect, it could cause big issues later in the process. This could very well be the reason your print is coming unstuck later on. Check the print settings in the slicing software to make sure the first layers are not printing too quickly and that the machine is extruding the right amount of filament. One way to make sure those first couple layers stay put is to use a little bit of glue stick on your build surface. Then those first couple of layers print, they stay put, and the rest build up like they're supposed to. You won't need much at all, just a little bit of glue stick to add a tackiness to the surface of the build plate. These are just a couple of potential hurdles you might encounter when 3D printing. Like a lot of things, 3D printing requires a good amount of trial and error to get it just right. Luckily, the technology is very focused on quick turnaround and instant feedback. It's usually not too cumbersome to make adjustments and try again. If you have something you'd like to 3D print with us here at the Library in the Forest, just head over to our website and visit our 3D printing page. Thanks for watching, and best of luck on your future projects.